This is Unit 2. We're starting out with some music theory here. Hopefully you're getting music theory in music theory class. I think all music majors have to take music theory, at least when I was in school they did, so let's see. However, they're presenting it, so we'll talk about it. To the extent they're presenting it. There's more to it. Okay, we're just presenting this part. Let's get this down. Intervals. An interval to me is simply the distance between two notes, any two notes. We're talking number of half steps, whatever. Well, actually, we're talking degrees, what's known as degrees. You're talking degrees are the notes within a key signature or a scale. Those are the degrees. We're talking those. So we're using C major because C major uses the white keys. There's no sharps or flats. It's the white. It's easy to see. C to C. We're just using the white keys. If I want the interval between any two notes, I simply count up and figure it out. The note I'm on is 1. We don't start with 0. And generally we will count up. You could count down, but there's a danger to that. I'll get to that later. So I get in the habit of counting up. So let's say I have a note, any note, and another note up here somewhere. The distance between them is their interval. 1, 2, 3. Remember, that's 1. It's not 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Remind me next time to get a shorter interval. 13. It's an interval of a 13th. An octave is an interval of an 8th. That's letter to letter. And so you get them. And at the bottom of the page, they show you this shorter. We get here. Well, 1, 2, it's an interval of a second. 1, 2, 3, interval of a third. Our harmonic system is based on thirds. Thirds are very important. We'll talk about those a lot more in the future. Thirds. It's every other note in the scale. Meaning, in the white keys, there's one white key in the middle, because we're not using the black keys here. Go up, this is a fourth. Here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth, 6th, 7th, 8th, blah, blah, blah. Okay. One note with itself, to itself, a note, an interval to itself, is called a unison, just in case you're curious. Okay. Now we have different flavors of intervals. Just get the numbers down first, just to get to where you'll learn to recognize these in the music. Because first, a second, they're next to each other. And thirds are easy enough because they're sort of next to each other. They're both on lines or they're both on spaces. Okay. Then a fourth is one line, one space, or one space, one line, whatever. Okay. You'll learn to recognize them in music. It comes in handy, especially with improvising. Now, if the intervals are played one at a time, one note at a time, after each other, either note could go first, doesn't matter, or doesn't matter. We call those melodic intervals. It's like a melody is one note after another, melodic interval. Now, when they're played together at the same time, they're called harmonic intervals. So you have melodic or harmonic. You play one note after the other, or you play them at the same time. Just know what they are. You may run across the terms of people talking. At least you have some idea what they're talking about. Other than that, I haven't found a lot of use for them. And then they want you to name them and play them on page 30, where you play the notes. Make sure you know the note names and tell what the interval is. Well, the first one is a unison because it's only one note. And the second one is a second. The next one is here. Well, count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a fifth. The last one, 1, 2, 3. It's a third. Doesn't matter what fingers you use to play them with, just play them. So you can go through bottom page 30 and do all that. If you have questions, let me know. Just take your time with them. In the first column there, they don't want you to put the interval number. They want you to put the name of the note. I would put the interval, I would put a unison, a 1 as a unison. But they want you to put the name of the note. On the others, they want you to put the interval. I don't know why you don't need the names of the notes on those, though. Whatever. Let's go on. Page 31. Eighth note, eighth rest, dotted, blah, blah, blah. We got all kinds of notes. Just understand that the note values halved or doubled depending on which direction you're going. So you start with a whole note. I'm not starting with a double whole note because there is such a thing, just a whole note. If you split a whole note you get 2 halves, a whole 2 halves. You split that, you get 2 quarters. Split that, you get 2 eighths. You can keep splitting. 2 16ths, 32nd, 64th, 128th. Have fun with it, whatever. In piano, we generally don't go much beyond 32nd notes because we can only wiggle our fingers so fast. Well, a quarter note is the same as 2/8 notes. Or if I take a quarter note and I put an eighth note with it, we call that a dotted quarter note. It's a quarter note with a dot behind it. Imagine that, a dotted quarter note. The dot represents half the value of the note. That's true on any dotted note. Doesn't matter what it is. I could have a dotted whole note. In that case, the dot gets half the value of the whole note. If a whole note gets 4 counts, the dot will get 2 counts. That's the way it works. So here, if a quarter note gets 1 count, then the dot gets half a count, or it's like an eighth note. So it's extending the length of the quarter note out a little longer. And I keep saying if it gets a count, because I don't know how many counts it gets until I have a time signature. That tells me how many counts things get. So with no time signature, I don't know what it is. As long as the bottom number is a 4, then yes, a quarter note's going to get a count. So the dot would get half a count. Talk more about that when we get music with dotted rhythms in it. It's easier to see it. Middle page 31, they talk about 6/8 time. Well, if you understand how time signatures work, it doesn't matter what the numbers are, they could be anything. So the top number tells you how far to count. How many beats are in a measure, same difference. So in 6/8 time, you got to count to 6. Won't that be nice? But you're counting eighth notes, because you generally see a lot of eighth notes in 6/8 time. The natural accents are 1, 2, 3, 4. It's generally felt in 2. A lot of marches are written in 6/8 time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Okay. You see a lot of eighth notes. At the bottom of page 31, they have some more dynamic marks. I trust you know what these are already. I would hope so. Just keep in mind that when they have 2 Fs or 2 Ps, that does not double 1 F or 1 P. So you have 1 F and 2 F. 2 Fs is not twice as loud. It doesn't multiply. It just goes up a little bit because we can have 3 Fs and 4 Fs. Same with the P. Piano, pianissimo, 2 Ps is just a little softer because I can go 3 Ps and 4 Ps. It's practically where you're just blowing on the keys. It's so quiet. And then, of course, the hairpins for crescendo and diminuendo, so you can gradually get louder or gradually get softer, whichever. And all these dynamic things have to do with interpreting the music. Key signatures. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. Here we go. Don't let page 32 throw you for a loop, because looking at that, you think, oh, forget it, I'm dropping this. No. Let's back up a little bit. We'll try and make some sense out of this so you can approach it so you sort of understand it. So just, you don't take all that all at once. Lord, no. Just understand that a key signature, look on page 33, you see the sharps there after the clef signs? That's where the key signature goes. So at the beginning of the music, you have a clef sign. I don't know which way we're going. A clef sign, a key signature, and a time signature. And they're in that order. And in case you can't remember the order, I never can, I have to think it alphabetically. Clef sign, C for clef. Key signature is a K. And time signature is a T. CKT, they're in order, alphabetically, is how they go in the music. If you don't see any sharps or flats there, it's in the key of C major, because C major has no sharps or flats. It's all the white keys on the piano. When you have sharps and flats in there, that means you're going to use some black keys. The trick is, which black keys are we using? And there's different ways of approaching that. I prefer to approach it as I was taught, what worked for me in college, actually, because different teachers use different methods. Now on page 32, they're showing you any note or all of them can be sharped or flatted. So we have 7 notes. Any of them or all of them can be sharped or flatted. So we can have up to 7 sharps. There's no point in going beyond that. Some people have tried. Give me a break. It's just 7, or you can have 7 flats. The order they're in is always the same order. Sharps have one order, flats have another order, but it's always the same order. So once you have learned them, you don't have to worry about which they are. you just, how many are there, and you'll just know what they are. And I'll explain that magic a little later. However, just as a side note for kicks and giggles, the order of the sharps and flats are reverse of each other. So if you look at the top of page 32, the first sharp is always an F sharp in a key signature. Well, the last flat is always an F flat. And you'll see the order of them going in opposite directions. It's the same order, they're just going the other way. Doesn't really help anything, it's just something nice, cute to know, whatever. I got a kick out of it, I thought you would too. Oh. So we will talk about key signatures, and I will give you my approach to learning. So take this slow and easy, just one thing at a time. I'll start getting into it more into the next lesson. The book isn't presenting everything, in my opinion, that you need to know. So I'm going to present some things, and the book will get around to it eventually. It's just the difference of what order do you teach things in. There is no set order. There is no, it has to be this way. We'll get there. Let me know if you have any questions up to this point.